All right, so we're gonna go through the setup for the hip. This is really important to have this weight pushing up into the hip because it's a weight-bearing joint. So when we improve stability and motion of the hip, you want to have some compression on there. Some of the two most common issues with the hip and with hip pain is hip extension and hip internal rotation. Those are really frequently compromised. It'll create more stiffness and tightness in the back and into the hip and down the leg. It'll change the gait. So in order to walk, you need to have good hip extension, and then the leg also internally rotates as you step forward. So those two things, if we do those, it'll help most people. But obviously we can test this and see and have the patient turn their leg in, go ahead and turn it as far as you can, and then turn the leg out. And typically I would do that before they get on there. I'll have them just kind of go through those motions and see where the restriction is. Obviously if it's symptomatic and there's some issues with the gait and some pain there, that's most likely where we're going to go. So same setup here as the lumbar. We're going to use two belts, one on the PSISs and one mid-glute. Okay, and then we want to stabilize. So I want this to be nice and snug, but not uncomfortable. So let me know if it's uncomfortable. Obviously we don't want it to be painful. If there is pain with movement, and the pain is with, let's just say, external rotation, you ideally want to get to a point where it's really stable so that when they turn externally, that there's no pain. Most of the time you can achieve that. You may even need to add in an extra belt to really stabilize that hip in order to get to that point. And so I'm going to just go ahead and add it. I rarely use this one personally. I usually don't have to do that, but you know, if you needed to, you could. So I'm going to have you, if there's restriction with external rotation, I'm going to ask the patient to turn their leg out like that. So in the neutral position, I'm going to stabilize. I like to grab right here and grab right there. I'm going to say, okay, turn your leg out. 1, 2, 3, relax. 1, 2, 3, relax. Okay, we're going to do like 10 of those. Now, if I wanted to do internal rotation, we'd be turning the other way. Sometimes if I can't stay here to provide the resistance, what I will do is I'll grab some kind of foam roll, put in there, and I'll use one of the belts to tie it up there so that as they turn in, this lever here gets blocked and it provides the resistance. But you can also hold here if you prefer, so go ahead and try to turn inwards. 1, 2, 3, and again, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. So the amount of, keep going, the amount of repetition you would do here is until you start feeling a fatiguing. That may happen after 5, it may happen closer to 10, and I'm starting to feel a little bit of fatigue there, so there we would stop. The most that I ever do personally is 3 sets of 10. Most people will be somewhere between 5 and 10 is what they'll be able to do. I give them a little break and we do multiple sets. The very first day that I do these, I usually just do 1 set. And then the next time we just keep on building it up. Okay, so that's for the hip internal and external rotation. Now I'm just gonna remove this belt here. And Jose, can you put your weight down? Perfect, and then take your weight off. And I'm gonna just slide this out like this. And I'm gonna grab this strap. Okay, for the hip extension, you would bend this knee here, lift up your leg, and this goes right underneath there. And it's gonna be an extension straight out. Now, obviously I can stand here and provide resistance, but instead of doing that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this strap, and I'm just gonna clip it in behind his leg here. Okay, and I'm gonna have you extend your leg straight back against the strap. So he's basically trying to straighten his leg this way. Yeah, pull back 3 seconds, and we're gonna do that, 10 reps and 3 sets of 10 again. This is for hip extension. Now, if we wanted to do flexion, okay, what we would do is put our hands on the front of the knee here. Go ahead and pull forward. 1, 2, 3, relax. 1, 2, 3, relax. See, we could do, again, 3 seconds, 10 times. That's a pretty good standard, that 3 second. And then we can do, if we want to add in abduction, push out, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then you could do a deduction after this, 1, 2, 3. All right, so we could do our 3 seconds, 10 times. So that's for the hip. That covers internal, external, hip extension, hip flexion, adduction, abduction. And